Good evening, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown in beautiful Shenzhen, China, for another China Rising Radio Sinoland podcast and article. The weather's getting cooler here. We're into the fall, October. Although last week I fell off my bike, and my elbow slammed into the stone step that was sharp as a knife, and I gashed my elbow all the way down to the elbow joint and had to get 9 stitches. So that's my war story for the week. Here is the article. Over the one-week Chinese National Day holiday, September 30th to October 8th, my wife and I went to the province of Yunnan, 1,800 kilometers east of Shenzhen, in Guangdong province, where we live. We went to a county called Xishuangbanna, which hugs the Laos-Myanmar border and through which runs the Mekong River, of colonial French and American war fame. Further south in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, millions of local cadavers were thrown into the Mekong to eventually drift into the South China Sea as a result of a century of Franco-American genocides and exterminations. May their savaged and raped souls rest in peace. Xishuangbanna is famous for the Dai minority people, and that's spelled D-A-I, who dominate the culture and daily life there. Dai script is side by side with Mandarin everywhere you go, and the local radio is full of Dai music and news. This is the famous place in China where the Dai have their annual water splash festival to usher in their new year. We went to a Dai cultural village about 30 kilometers outside Jinghong, the capital of Xishuangbanna, where visitors can watch a water splash ceremony and even participate if they want. The whole place is lovely, relaxed, and everyone who joined in had a great time getting soaking wet while we filmed them. The park had several thousand visitors when we were there. There were the obligatory local police to keep an eye on things. A Chinese cop is a window into the culture and society here, as is one in the United States. All the police officers were dressed alike. They were wearing flat-footed, open sandals like laid-back hippies. They were relaxed, chatting with each other, friendly and courteous to all of us. I decided to ask one of them what they were carrying on their service belts. Officer Lean, pictured with me above, had the standard issue pack for the vast majority of police officers, not just in Xishuangbanna, but the whole country. Lean was carrying 1 pair of handcuffs, 1 small can of mace, 1 walkie-talkie, 1 flashlight, 1 incident report journal, and ink pen. In other words, Chinese cops are prepared to, if necessary, immobilize a drunk guy with a shot of mace, handcuff the, quote, perp, end of quote, and call their buddies for help. In more crowded public places, a local cop might carry a billy club or blackjack. In more sensitive areas, where the authorities are worried about Western-backed terrorists or instigators, cops may carry a pistol, but it is the exception to the rule. Only rarely will you see machine guns. When this happens, we assume Baba Beijing got intelligence that Uncle Sam's trained bomber boys might be looking for trouble, and they are taking no chances. I wrote about this in my first book, 44 Days Backpacking in China, the Middle Kingdom in the 21st Century, with the United States, Europe, and the fate of the world in its looking glass. There's a photograph of some heavily militarized police, city police in the United States, and the byline says, "Trigger fingers at the ready. Every day is a great day in America for the militarized fascist police to terrorize and kill the masses. Will they gun down another 1,000 in 2017? I was scared shitless to be back in the U.S. this summer." Back to the story. Now compare Officer Lean to the United States, especially, and more in Western Europe. Full military battle gear on Main Street is the norm, with high-impact helmets, bulletproof everything, automatic weapons out the yazoo, taser kits, steel-toed jack boots, gas masks, cans of mace the size of pesticide bombs, tear gas and stun canisters, while riding around in armored personnel carriers, and on and on. Does this tell us something about the two societies? Is it a reflection on the government's trust in their peoples? Do the Chinese think differently about each other compared to Westerners' attitudes about their fellow citizens? The Chinese are the most trusting of each other in the world, as a Pew Trust survey indicates. If anything, I would predict that this trust is higher in China today and lower in the West, especially in America. We feel very safe everywhere in China any time of day. Our young daughter is going to university in Beijing. She can walk the, quote, mean streets, end of quote, of the nation's capital, 23 million strong, late at night and not be worried about rape or assault. Ditto the metro, buses, and taxis. When we were in the United States this summer, we thanked our lucky stars every day we did not get pulled over by a, quote, law enforcement, end of quote, officer to avoid getting beaten up, shot, or killed. Another photo of a group of city police officers and piling out of an armored personnel carrier. This scene looks like it's right out of the movies 1984 or V for Vendetta, but it's not. It's just another day in fascist police state America, sad to say, and only getting worse. I suspect the next time I go back will be for my mother's funeral, not a day sooner. And to wrap up the story, we were so relieved to come back to China, where we know the socialist government and leaders are really concerned about the people's well-being and work 24/7 to gain their trust. The violent, dog-eat-dog capitalist jungle of American culture reflects just the opposite. China's Barney Fife cops mirror the previous society. America's Robocops reflect the latter. And then to close out, there's a photograph. Above, Barney Fife, the humanitarian, empathetic police officer played by actor Don Knotts on the long-running TV sitcom The Andy Griffith Show. Or is that Officer Lean in China? Come to think of it, they're hard to tell apart. This is Jeff J. Brown signing out in Shenzhen, China. Have a wonderful week.